Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where we talk about skincare, grooming, sometimes hair, so if that sounds like your thing, make sure you are subscribed. Also come and follow me on Instagram where I post a lot of stuff you're not going to see here on YouTube. You know what, hate comments don't get to me at all whatsoever. Video dislikes don't upset me, but there is one comment that always really gets to me, and that's comments that suggest I've never had bad skin. Usually comments like, this guy's never seen a spot in his life, good skin is just down to genetics. And whilst that is kind of true, that wasn't the case for me. Like, I didn't have good skin at all. And there's a reason I'm so obsessed with skincare. There's a reason I'm obsessed with ingredients. There's a reason that I'm constantly trying out new products. And I kind of wanted to share that with you guys today. So I kind of want to share like my skincare journey with you, I guess. And it took a while for me to make this video because, out of fear of sounding old and showing my age, finding pictures of me with bad skin was quite difficult. So when I was around 13 to 15, I would say, was when my skin was at its worst. And back then, mobile phones had just kind of become commonplace in the home. I sound so old. Camera phones definitely weren't commonplace either. They existed, but were very, very expensive because it was new technology. So everything was taken on like disposable cameras, film cameras, digital cameras had again just kind of come into play. So of course, with bad skin, I avoided having my picture taken. I definitely didn't take selfies. I don't think they were even invented. The term selfie was invented back then. But my mum's going through the photo albums and trying to sort out everything, and she found this picture. At this time in my life, my skin wasn't at its worst, but it was definitely getting worse. And the fact that I even had this picture taken, I'll move over, is kind of surprising to me because it was quite bad at this time. You can see that I've got pop spots where I've been picking at them. I've already got dark pigmentation. I've got a couple of whiteheads on there too. And at this age, I really didn't have a skincare routine. I think I'm about 13, 14 here. And I know teenagers get spotty skin, they really do. But at this age, it shouldn't have been this bad and progressive, and I've already got dark spots and scarring from it. So it was bad, and it did bother me, I guess. You can see I obviously picked at the spots. There's like a few bloody ones there. So some of you might not know, but I am an identical twin. I have a twin brother, and we both had, funnily enough, the exact same kind of skin condition, the same kind of state, I would say. My brother went to the doctor first. He went to the doctor to see what they could do for him, and they gave him something called, I believe it's pronounced Zineret, which is a prescription acne treatment. This dried out his skin really, really bad. It became the opposite of what our skin was at that time, which was like an oil slick kind of leather on our face. It went the complete opposite way. It was dry, it was flaky, quite irritated as well, and obviously itchy from where it was becoming so dry. And he absolutely hated it, so I did go to the doctor and get prescribed the same thing. I just didn't use it. I was already dripping oil everywhere. I didn't want to now be flaking off on my schoolwork. You know, it just wasn't, for me, it wasn't the best situation, and my brother actually stopped using it as well. So my mum basically said that I needed a skincare routine. So I think I picked my very first skincare routine that looked like a very average teenage skincare routine for a teenager who broke out every so often, which was probably like a Clearasil face wash, a clean and clear toner, and then a moisturizer, probably from either one of those brands as well. The clean and clear toner wasn't a toner, it was an astringent, and then the moisturizer was mattifying, which now I cringe to the fact that I would have used that on my skin. It did next to nothing for the long-term result of my skin. Short-term, it dried out my oils, it made my skin look matte, which at the time I absolutely loved, having a break from oily skin, but it would come back just as bad. But you know, it wasn't healing my skin. The astringent, the toner would sting my face when I put it on. I thought, this is great, it's doing what it's supposed to. And whilst it was helping, I guess, slightly heal what was there, it wasn't doing anything to prevent future breakouts whatsoever. So I just kind of gave up on that. But one day I was out shopping with my friends and we walked past Lush, and I saw all their skincare and I thought, I'm just gonna go in and see what they have to offer. Back then, me in my head thinking that natural was better and maybe like a more natural approach would help. So I was just browsing. We all know what Lush staff are like. Someone comes straight up to me, all friendly, slightly possessed looking, smile from ear to ear. We had a really good chat about what I was currently using, my routine, what my problems were with my skin other than what she could see on my skin, what I wanted to improve on my skin. And we were talking for like half an hour. She really knew her stuff about the ingredients, as Lush people do. They kind of just get told the basic of what ingredients do. And I came out with a full routine, a cleanser, a toner, a spot treatment, and a moisturizer, which was a little pricey for a 14, 15-year-old at the time. But I just really wanted and needed my skin to look better, and I was willing to give anything a go. So she gave me the Cold Face Cleansing Bar, which I loved. However, they've massively changed the ingredients in it now. They put glitter in it for some stupid reason, so I cannot recommend it anymore. Tea tree water toner. No, there wasn't a spot treatment at all, sorry. It was just a moisturizer. It was a face mask, one with onions in. I can't remember what it was called. Garlic in, which was really, really good. And a moisturizer called Vanishing Cream. And I use these religiously. I would use the face mask 3 times a week. I would use it as a direct spot treatment as well to help dry up spots. Cleanse, tone, moisturize every morning, every evening. And after about a month, I started to see a difference. I started to see a difference in the redness on my skin. It looked less irritated. I was still breaking out, but my skin didn't look as painful. A bit of scarring was going, but I don't know whether that was just because I was my skin was generally less dry, so it was looking like a lot lighter and plumper. So yeah, things are improving, and month by month my skin just looked better and better. And I think that's really down to ingredients. I was looking for things like tea tree for my spots, licorice in the charcoal that was like soothing for me, helped with the pigmentation. I can't remember for the life of me what was in the vanishing cream, but that was good. And I actually took this routine with me into my early 20s. I used it for just under a decade. Like, that's how much I loved this routine. So that's where my obsession with ingredients really started. Was I wanted to know what exactly was clearing up, how it was clearing it up, what else could I do, what else could I add to help it clear up quicker and generally improve the look on my skin. So I got another picture for you. So I'm maybe 15 now. I'm gonna put up this awful picture of me. This is me and my brother, I think, on our birthday. I'm gonna blur out his face because he probably doesn't want a picture of him up. Again, taken on a film camera, but if you look at my forehead, you can see like a big dark patch of scarring. I do actually have it on my cheeks and my chin as well, but because it's a film camera, you don't see it that well. There's so much kind of like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation from especially where I picked at my spots, and I really do feel like where I was using products like alcohol heavy astringents that dried it up so much it kind of burned into my skin. So my new target, now my spots were kind of at bay. I got maybe a breakout every couple of weeks being a teenager still. My new target was these dark spots. So this is when I started getting into exfoliating, kind of trying to like renew my skin. Very, very slightly dipped into serums and clay masks. I think as far as serums go, I would like see what my mum had on her little counter and use whatever kind of like Avon product she had going at the time. And I would use these maybe twice a week, so I don't know how much of a difference they really made. But you know, I didn't know at the time, but they had good ingredients in like AHAs and BHAs, which weren't popular at the time. They weren't very mainstream. They were kind of like quietly tucked away in products, anti-aging, skin renewing products. But by this time I could look at the back of products and kind of know what I should be using and what would work for me and what I should avoid. So yeah, I was starting to learn out of like this new obsession that I had, and it really took about 2 to 3 years for all that hyperpigmentation to completely go. When we're talking completely go, not just to fade, but not be seen at all. So yeah, bearing in mind I didn't know heavily about BHA's, chemical exfoliating, I didn't know about skin brightening serums, and these kind of products just weren't around when I was that age. They weren't as easy accessible, or they were super expensive. So I always look at what is available now and wish I had it back at that age. So then we come to this awful picture of me on holiday in Tenerife where my friend tried to dye my hair blonde and it went ginger. But yeah, pigmentation's gone. I have a few spots, but my skin is pretty much better. I'm just breaking out like your normal 16-year-old, I think I am here, would. 16, 17, I believe I am here. But now I'm experimenting with so many more products, like not just products aimed at teens, I think is one thing that really took me out of that bad skin. And my skin's so much better. Still wasn't using sunscreen back here though. But my skin is generally behaving itself. So in this next picture, I'm 20 something, and this, I remember my age and what was going on because this is the night before I flew out to LA for the first time. And that is where I first discovered Korean skincare, but we're gonna come to that in a second. As you can see, my skin is by no means bad at all actually here. It's a little bit bumpy. I have a few of those kind of like hard white bumps. It's a little bit textured, but not bad. Like, I'm still just doing my basic routine. I'm experimenting with more expensive adulty brands like Aveda, Origins. I think like Elizabeth Earl, Liz Earl. I'm getting like 2 spots a month here. And I used to count, like that's how obsessed I was. And the thing is, even though I was getting spots not regularly at all, when I did get one, even if I didn't pick it, even if I left it well alone, it would leave a dark spot behind. And I think that might just be down to my mixed kind of skin. So then I got into oils here, in particular argan oil, which really did help reduce the appearance of those dark spots and blemishes. I think I also discovered derma rolling by now, so I'm doing a bit of that every time I had a breakout, which was annoying because it's a long, tedious process. The oil really helped, but again, like had to have so much patience with that. Nothing on what like an AHA or a BHA or a serum could do nowadays. And I remember the oil really helping with my oil production, my sebum production as well, because I remember being so happy that I didn't have to blot my face like every 2 seconds. Like here I was a personal shopper for Top Man, so we were not only helping like everyday people, but we were working with celebrities, we were dressing people for TV, we were on camera all the time. And I remember being so self-conscious at this time about the state of my oily skin. It wasn't about spots, it was just that shiny oily skin that didn't look like a glow, it just looked like oil. So when I started introducing this oil, it did really help. The next day I flew out to LA. I was put up in Koreatown, and I went for a walk and I came across a shop called Nature Republic. And I remember at the time I really got into K-pop. I still am a huge K-pop fan, and I think at the time a boy band called EXO were the spokesmodels of Nature Republic. So this instantly drew me into the shop, this amazingly clean, fully stacked like skincare shop that had sheet masks everywhere, which I'd never used before, all these moisturizers, different serums, emulsions, lotions. I was like, what is all this? I was like, I need everything. And I remember spending most of my spending money for that trip in Nature Republic on that first day. So here I got a chemical exfoliator, I got serums, I got gel moisturizers, which I've never used before, sheet masks, all things that were helping me with not only the overall complexion of my skin, but the texture, my pore size, the amount of blackheads I was getting, really fancy clay masks that was still a really good price point. And after this, the process of healing for my hyperpigmentation sped up. Like we were talking weeks rather than months to years. Yeah, chemical exfoliate is actually like changed everything for me, really. I kind of went through a stage of not wanting to use them anymore and only stuck to physical exfoliators, which when you look back on my YouTube you can kind of see. But serums as well, my love for aloe vera and tea tree started here, and that kind of brings us to now. Like ever since then I've just been using Korean skincare, experimenting with K-beauty. People always ask me why I'm so into Korean skincare, why I'm so obsessed with it, and obviously it's because I love their culture, but also it took me almost like 7 years to do what Korean skincare did for me in a number of months, if that makes sense. But overall, I'm happy with the state that my skin is. I'm still at that point where I get a spot and it will scar, guaranteed, but it doesn't bother me because I know exactly what to do whilst I have that spot to prevent the dark spot being too dark, and the healing process as well. It just doesn't upset me as much as it used to. I'm happy with my oily skin because it doesn't freak the fuck out anymore. I know how to control my oils. You know, I love skincare. I'm obsessed. I'm lucky enough to say it's part of my job now. But yeah, it was a lot of work, and I went through a lot of my skin, and I think that's why it really annoys me when people say like, why is this guy telling us about spots when he's clearly never had one, or why is he talking about this like dark spots when he's never had it. I had it bad. It was just when I was much younger, and I've just found photographic evidence. But yeah, I hope that was interesting. I hope that kind of cleared up a little bit about kind of like my befores and afters. I know all teenagers get spotty, but I feel like I was extra spotty, and for me it was more about what was left after all the spots and the breakouts. For me, spots aren't a big deal because they're not permanent. I think people should Photoshop out spots because they're not a permanent feature of your face. Like if you have one, take it out. It doesn't matter. It's going to go soon. But for me, it was the dark pigmentation that really bothered me after. It looked like I burnt my skin, like there was some kind of like painful birthmark on my face or something. So that's kind of really what upset me most about having bad skin back then. But yes, if you got to this end, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening to my skincare story. But that is it for me now, guys. I will see you next time.